Alright, good afternoon. What I'll be showing you today is how to make an auto bolt release on a Ruger 1022. It can be a pain in the butt whenever you lock it back and it doesn't want to release. I know I have this problem a lot, so obviously you can see it doesn't release automatically, so that's what we're going to make it do today. Alright, what I have in front of me is all the tools you'll need. First thing, hammer. Soft plastic hammer works fine. I have metal one on the back of here. I won't be using that, just plastic. Works great. I also have a 1/8 inch drift pin. We'll only be punching a couple pins to get down inside the trigger somewhere we need to get to. That'll be work perfectly. Depending on the Ruger you have or any kind of 1022 you have, either going to have a flathead, hex head, or some other kind of head for your stock screw to remove it from the action. This particular one is a 5/32. That's what we're going to be using there. A flathead screwdriver. Always good to have actual gunsmithing screwdrivers around. Alright, for the pins that we're going to drift out, my makeshift armor's block works great, and keep everything in there, a magnetic metal container, hold everything in there. If you don't have one of these, I highly suggest you get one because these things work amazing. Alright, and finally, probably the most important tool we'll have is a file. This is a 1/2 round file, and this will do the good bit of finishing work that I will use. For the beginning, I will end up using my Dremel, which I have right here, with a small grinding stone head. Alright, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get in here. First thing is to remove the stock, so I'll go ahead and set most of my tools aside that I won't be needing as of right now. Alright, go ahead. Now, depending on what style of 1022 you have, you'll either have a hex head or a flathead screw to hold it in. It all depends on what model you get. This is 1022 carbine, my own personal. Now, looking at the inside, I'm sure if you've ever owned a Ruger 1022 or any kind of, well, Ruger's the only one who makes a 1022. But if you ever owned one, chances are, even if it's just because you're curious or because you want to work on them, that you've looked at the inside of a Ruger. So I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence on how to remove the stock. I mean, we're all amateur professionals here. That's something a wise man once told me. So now the stock's ready to come off. It should slide right off. Alright, now we got that off. I'm going to put that down under because we won't be needing it. All the work is going to be done inside the trigger assembly, so we can get rid of the barrel to action. Now this is where my nice little homemade armor's block comes in. Now, 3 pins we're going to be punching to release from the action, well, 2 actually, is these 2 pins. If I can get it where you're seeing pin right here and a pin right here. This is buffer pin. It will more than likely come out on you, so I'm going to punch that out as well, just so I'm not losing a pin somewhere in the process. Now, you may need your hammer, or you might just need the drift pin. For the buffer pin, it's generally just comes out with the drift pin, so I'm going to set that right inside my nice little magnetic cup. For these, you might need the hammer. It depends on how much they've been worn or if they want to work with you well that day, because we all know Murphy is a SOB, and anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So go ahead and remove that trigger assembly. This is what we're going to be working with, so I can go ahead and get rid of the barrel action, put it away. Move on this block. Now these 2 pins, put them in my nice little magnetic cup. Now looking at this trigger assembly, this is where all the work's going to be done. Alright, so looking down, what we're going to be pulling out is this flat piece of metal right here. This is what we're going to be working with. This actually is the bolt release part that we're going to be working on. So you're only going to push 2 pins out. It's going to be pin right here, and it's already wanting to come out. This pin here and this pin right here. Now before you punch any of these pins, it's important to note which way. Oh, well, what do you know? One of them already came out. So I'm going to go ahead and put that away. Important thing to note is which way your extractor is facing. So just remember that, because you don't want to put it in the exact same way. Alright. So now, bring this down over my nice little block here. I keep that out so I know which way it's facing. And what I'll actually do, I'll put it in here the way it's supposed to face. That way I'm not getting confused. So just punch, since this pin has already fell out, we're just going to punch this one pin here. Now this controls, before I do that, you thought you were going to get it. Nope, not that easy. That one pin is set through the flat piece of metal we're working with and the extractor, and also houses a spring underneath it. So it's going to be, that spring will give some whiplash, so you might want to keep your fingers free. You're going to punch this out. If you want to, you can do it a little bit. I don't suggest it. I mean, if you're going to, you might as well do it all the way. So just punch that out, and the spring will come flying. It's not going to go anywhere because it's held right there where the hammer is. Actually, a bent piece down up under. So we're going to push that out right now before it comes flying at me. Alright, and she doesn't want to work with me today. Oh well, you know what? So what I'll do, probably not the smartest idea I've ever had in my life, but I'm going to do it anyway. Bring her all the way back. Now you see, it's partially out, so you can take it out if you like, but I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way out. And there she is. And look at that, there's the extractor. Go ahead and put that up. This is that free spring I was talking about. This bottom side right here is bent, if you can see that. So you're just going to want to bring that whole thing all the way back. Now, this pin, which houses the bottom side of the bolt release, actually is also the pin for the mag release. So if you push this part in, the trigger will fall out. You can just set that to the side, and this will come right out the front. You won't be needing this, but this just makes it easier so a part doesn't go flying. Alright, now that's done, this part, this flat piece of metal will come out. This is what we're going to be working with. So I can set that aside. Just back over here, put all my pins there so they don't get lost. Now we'll bring this down so I can show you exactly what we're going to be working with. It's really close, so actually I'm going to back that up just a hair. Let me put my hands down there to show you. Alright, this is how it sits in there with the muzzle that direction. Now if you look here, this looks, from videos I've watched, they said they just look like a little V. I mean, I can see that, it kind of looks like a check, but what I like to compare it to, it looks like 2 dog tags hanging off a chain. We got the rounded edges. Might just be my military sense, but that's what it looks like to me. So this piece right here, where it sticks out, and this tiny little piece right here where it sticks out, you're going to want to grind that down to make it nice and flat, and that will actually create the auto bolt release, because this is what catches it when you rock it back. Catches here, and then whenever you want to release it forward, it just goes to there. So that's what we're going to grind that down. Now at first, what I'm going to do, bring this back up a little bit. So What I'm going to do is you're just going to take your file and you're going to grind this part down, this little V right here, and this larger one right here. You're going to make that smooth across it. Now I'm going to use the file for the finishing work. The majority of the work, I'm going to use this small Dremel and a magnifier. That way I can get up in there and I can see exactly what I'm grinding. Now what I'm doing, this is going to be set on the lowest setting there is for the Dremel I have. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Get down there. When you do it, here, set that down. You can't just make this straight edge. You're going to want to put a curve in around the insides, and you can also do this on the back side if you'd like. That way it'll work smoother across. Alright, so you're going to be a little brought back so I can get up in there a little bit. It's going to be a little loud. Alright, it's going to be right in there. Now this is going to take some time and show you the finished product. Alright, now I have most of the work done already, but I will show you what I did. You recall this hole right here looks like dog tags. Alright, my apologies for all those scratches. One little heavy with the Dremel, but I'd rather do this, practice on my own weapons than mess up somebody else's. So as you can see, the V is gone, which the primary one was up here, the small one was down in this corner. Now it just looks like a lopsided triangle or some kind of NASCAR track. And being from the South, you love NASCAR. Anyway, so I'm just going to dress this up just a little bit. There's a couple spots I didn't finish, right around here and a little bit up here. So I'm just finish that. Like I said, I got a half round file, half semicircular on one side, flat on the other. This works good, especially for this job, because there's flat areas and rounded areas. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that. Just, if you're doing it, make nice long strokes. Just go slow, one at a time. I already dressed this up most of the way, so looks pretty decent for, honestly, a first job of mine. So flatten out this one side right here just a little bit. One thing good about Ace half round file is you got a lot of different contours, from small round to a large flat round. That way you can do a lot with one small file. It looks pretty good. Might touch it up later. Now, I think that'll work just fine. Alright, done with the file. Alright, like I said before, just ignore scratches. I'd rather mess up on my own weapon than somebody else's. But it looks fairly decent for first job of mine. So now that's done, we're going to start putting the trigger assembly back together. Here we are. Set everything off to the side, bring this back up so I got a little room to work. I want to tell you just for a little test right here if that annoys you. So what we're going to do first, we're going to put this back in. Now, as you're looking at it, and you're flipping around all kinds of different ways, this is going to be towards the top, towards the front. So it'll look like a little revolver shooting to your right. You know? Oh, just thought about that. You're going to set that in against this wall closest to you. Make sure that's nice in there. Now this spring is going to fall all the way back down. This flat part's going to go under the cross pin that goes across the top through the auto bolt release that we made and through the extractor. Now remember the way we faced it, and those little claws to the right, you're going to want to keep it that way. So hold that nice and together, take one of your small cross pins, push it in through. You can get it pushed in most of the way by yourself with your fingers. Oh, she doesn't like me. And she knows I done messed up her perfect functions, so she doesn't want to work with me. Come on, baby, I just made you a little better. That's what women love to hear. Alright, so now we have that through the extractor. We'll push the spring down until it goes up under the cross pin. No. And we're going to go in. And she sits great. Now you're going to see this part's going to want to, the flat's going to want to bend. So with that extractor, put it in the notch here where it goes. And that should keep it mostly where it's going to want to be. Keep it all the way nice far in the back. Alright, there she goes. She just wasn't. She was not wanting to go back and far enough for us. Now you see that large piece came in. There you go. Now she wants to sit. She just wasn't getting all the loving she wanted. She got to push that all the way back so it'll sit back. Now for this pin, you're going to have to move the magazine release and the bolt release to get it to where the pin will slide straight through. Move the extractor back to the front if you move it backwards. So it's going to take a little wiggle room, but it should work. Sit her right down in there. She should. There we go. She sits perfect. Ain't that beautiful? Alright, now set this back towards the front. Now we're going to put this back on the barreled action. Alright. Simply, simple enough. These two holes will fit up with these two going back in. Put that here to flatten it. Take our two pins we pushed out and push it in most of the way in, and try and get the other one in. Might work a little better. I found you're gonna have, if you can push them in by hand, that's great. Or if they want to give you hard time, use a hammer. Like I said, plastic side works great. Finish putting them in and it won't mar the surface. Just make sure they're nice and flat. Now the last pin we got to put in, the buffer pin that came out. Like I said before, it doesn't have to or may not come out. It may. Like, look at that, it went straight through. Might come out, it might not. But I took it out anyway just because I didn't want to lose it during the process. Right. Now that these are in, I'll put the stock back on to give it a proper testing. Here. Put it back this way, the way we took it off. Roll this over on its back. She will take a little bit of love to sit down in there all the way. Sit her nice on the back. Last thing we need to do to fully assemble this is drive the hex hex screw back in and the barrel band. So drive that in a little bit so it'll catch. Now take my hex key. The one I have right here is a 5/32. Bring her back in. Make it nice and snug. Don't over tighten it, because that's just going to strip your screws, and nobody wants to strip a screw. Put the barrel band back on if you have one. If not, that's just fine, but on carbines they do. Throw it back in nice and tight. So this is the first time doing it, so we'll find out if it works together. Alright. She's empty, as you can see. Let's lock it back. Alright, she's locked back. And let's see. No. Looks like I got a little more work to do grinding. Yeah, I know exactly what part. I can tell by feeling what part I need to grind down. It's just very little. You got to make it perfect. If it's not perfect, it's not going to work. So I'm gonna go through, regrind it again, make it better, and I'll show you a video to where we can actually get this working. All right. So let's do it. Let me see. All right, I'm back. Went back in, did a little more grinding on that part, on the bolt release. A little more grinding, made a little rounder. That was on me. This is actually my third attempt with trial and error. You gotta love it. Alright, so I actually haven't tested yet, so we'll see if this works or not. I hope it will. It was a lot smoother this time than it was the others. So it's clear. Go ahead and locking it back, and we'll see if it works. Yes. You know, you got to test it two or three times. She's locked back. There we go. Now, actually, what's happening, I'll show you. Is, well, hold up. As you can see, when the bolt's forward, this piece right here, which actually is part of the bolt release that we worked on, when you slide it back, just push that up. Push that up in there towards the back, where it'll catch it, and part will come out. You'll see a little part of the circle coming out. Then when you pull it back, it resets it, sends it forward, and just the way I like it. Sorry for the rocking hitting my fixture here. I'm just so happy that this is working. Didn't expect it to. Alright, well, thank you very much. That is how you make an auto bolt release on a Ruger 1022. Minimal tools, good little bit of time, but once you get into it, it'll work great. Dremel works amazing for this because you got a good bit of metal to remove, and this job is really forgiving. As long as you don't do too little to where it still catches, you're pretty much good. This was a saving grace. File worked great for finishing touches. And that is all we have for this. Thank you so much for watching and being with me. Y'all have a great day.